Movie buffs, welcome back to the Movie Bay. This is D. In today's video, we are going to take a look at Hollywood Gold, Hollywood Platinum. We're going to take a look at a guy whose movies are just the talk of the town, always have been, always will be. We're talking some extremely iconic roles in movies that are just timeless. We're going to do 34 movies in my collection from Robert De Niro. So this is everything that I own starring Robert De Niro. A lot of good movies and very few movies that are just mid. But Robert De Niro, he got some bangers under his belt. I mean, bangers, okay? So far, the list is going pretty good. Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis, Lawrence Fishburne, Morgan Freeman. Now we're doing De Niro. Let's dive in and take a look. We're going to start with Casino, where De Niro played Sam Rothstein. One of the greatest movies out there, period. Like, especially in the crime category, Casino is one of the best movies ever made. This is a masterpiece. A true masterpiece, okay? Then we have Robert De Niro and Paul Dano in Being Flynn. This is a fantastic movie. It's about the, I would say, awkward but strained relationship between a father and a son. Very good movie. It starts a little slow, but it picks up and it becomes a really good movie. You need to check this one out. This is one that kind of flew under the radar, but Being Flynn is an excellent movie. And it's, again, one of the movies that showcases the range of De Niro. De Niro got a very broad range. A lot of actors got range, especially the good ones. But De Niro has been one of the few, in my opinion, who was able to transition from serious roles to comedy really good. I mean, Meet the Fockers, the first time I saw that shit, it had me on the floor. I mean, he's done some pretty good comedy roles. Next up, in my opinion, this is De Niro's best performance. Now, that's saying a lot for a guy like De Niro. And this is just my opinion. Yours may differ. You might say you preferred him better in Casino or Goodfellas, and I wouldn't argue with you. But for me, this is De Niro's best performance. De Niro, Nick Nolte, and Jessica Lange. Again, he's back with Scorsese in Cape Fear. Robert De Niro showed us. I never saw De Niro like this until I saw this. This movie is incredible. This is a fantastic movie. And I just so happened to... I was going to show you guys the... Because a lot of people don't know... Here we go. This is a remake to the original Cape Fear. So, and the original was a banger. But this is one of the cases where the remake edges out the original, in my opinion. This to me is the better movie. However, this was incredible, but this edges it out. Not even a little, by a lot. De Niro was the game changer on this one. He really was. Hello, counselor. Counselor. I mean, man, if you've never seen Cape Fear with De Niro, I would urge you actually to watch both of them. But the De Niro version is fantastic. And this is my favorite De Niro performance. And that's saying a lot about a guy like De Niro. So that's Cape Fear. Next up we have, Sylvester Stallone, Harvey Keitel, Ray Liotta, Robert De Niro. You know where we going, baby. We going straight to Copland. Yeah, baby. We going straight to Copland in a corrupted cruiser. Yes, yes, yes. Copland. Copland is a banging movie. And it doesn't get nowhere near the love it deserves. Because, when you talk about Stallone, people rarely bring up Copland. When you talk about Ray Liotta, people hardly bring up Copland. And De Niro, nobody really brings up Copland. Copland is an absolute banger. Next up, we got The Godfather 2. Goodfellas. Now, again, you could take this as your favorite De Niro role, but to me, Goodfellas wasn't the focus. To me, the focus was Joe Pesci and Ray Liotta. They was the main two in this movie. And of course, the late but great Paul Sorvino. De Niro had a big role in this movie, absolutely. But again, without Pesci and Liotta, they kind they was the stars of this one, in my opinion. And this is another great De Niro performance. Absolutely great. Heat. It's when you're talking about a guy like De Niro, so many performances are just great. When you got guys like Sam Jackson, he got a lot of good performances, but hardly any that are iconic. Like the iconic role for me from Sam Jackson was Django, the absolute standout. And what I mean by that is it's not his best. That's the one that stands out. They still memeing that. They still talking about that years after the movie. Is that the best Sam Jackson performance? No, not at all. But like we talk about standout performances. They may not be the best, but those are the ones that stand out the most. Bruce Willis, of course, Die Hard. Is those his best performances, those Die Hard movies? In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes. Now, Bruce Willis got a lot of good movies under his belt, but Die Hard that's what the name is tied to. Lawrence Fishburne, he's got a lot of good roles, but not many great roles. You see what I'm saying? Morgan Freeman, a lot of good roles, but not a lot of great roles. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. A lot of good movies, but good movies and versus great movies. That's the difference on IMDb between a movie that slots in the 8s, which is a really slots in the 7s, where good movies usually rank around the high 6s, mid 7s, to great movies that hang around that mid 8s up into the low 9s. That's what I'm talking about. Heist. This was a movie that was like under the radar, like a B type of movie. Dave Bautista, love Dave Bautista. He is really coming into his own as an actor. That movie, Knock at the Cabin, made me a Bautista fan. Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, superhero movies, when I talk about serious movies, I hardly talk about superhero movies. To me, that's just a different lane. But Dave Bautista is really breaking into movies really well. I hope he keeps going. But again, Heist, you got Jeffrey Dean Morgan, loved him as Negan in The Walking Dead. Robert De Niro, Kate Bosworth, Gina Carano, and Dave Bautista. This was a good movie. This was a solid movie. It wasn't a great movie. Joker, his performance in Joker was excellent. Again, it wasn't great. It was just, it wasn't his movie. So, but he did pretty good in that. Jackie Brown. Killer Elite. Raging Bull. Fantastic movie. Great performance by De Niro. Great performance. Red Lights, not so much. You got De Niro, Cillian Murphy, Sigourney Weaver, Elizabeth Olsen. The talent is here, but the movie just didn't land for me. The talent is definitely there. Great cast, but that cast wasn't used right in that movie, in my opinion. And again, who am I? Just a guy on YouTube in his basement making movies about DVDs. So again, take my opinion for what you will. We got De Niro and Al Pacino. I love it when they team up. Righteous Kill. This movie wasn't really all that great, but it was still nice to see them two teamed up. It definitely wasn't their best team up. Heat is. Angela Bassett, Marlon Brando, Edward Norton, Robert De Niro. The Score. Banging heist movie. Banging. Okay? Very underrated. Rarely comes up when people talk about heist movies because of Heat. Heat is the #1 heist movie, but there's a lot of really good heist movies out there. But again, they all pale in comparison to Heat. Sorry. Here's one that really fell under the radar. I want to say this was a this was a straight home release, a straight to stream and straight to home release. If this was in the theaters, correct me if I'm wrong. But you got Jack Houston, you got Robert De Niro and John Malkovich. I love Malkovich, even though I don't love all his movies, but I do love his acting. Savage Salvation. Sleepers, man, wow. Banging movie. I'm trying to tell you, De Niro he got some shit under his belt. I'm trying to tell you. 15 minutes. Remember we talked about him breaking into comedy and doing it big? If I'm not mistaken, these two are his first break into comedy. And people was like, what? Robert De Niro in a comedy? But man, him and Billy Crystal, they killed it in this. The concept, again, this was a good comedy. Excuse me. But the concept of it, you got a mob boss with mental issues trying to run a crime family. It's just, you can't beat it. Analyze this and analyze that. Talk about comedy gold. And I'm not the huge comedy fan. I think I probably have bona fide comedies in my collection, maybe 50. I'm not a comedy guy. I don't like a lot of funny things. I really don't. I know. But these two, funny. I'm trying to tell you. Funny, funny, funny. A Bronx Tale? Yes. I mean, he had a decent role in this. I mean, he was a struggling father trying to raise his son to do the right thing. He was an honest man in this movie. He wasn't a criminal. He was a bus driver, and he, lived a very, very modest life. And his son, well, watch the movie. You'll see. Fantastic movie. De Niro was a different type of dude in this movie. But he got, a lot of De Niro movies aren't him being a bad guy. In fact, most of his movies are him being a good guy. But he does bad guy very well. He does good guy very well, and De Niro does bad guy very, very well. City by the Sea. That's a very slept on De Niro movie. And I'm not going to say it's underrated. I think it gets probably the love that it deserves. It was a very mid movie, but it's still a movie that really don't come up when you talk about De Niro. It was an okay movie. You got De Niro, Frances McDermott, and James Franco. So it was a solid watch. I'll put it that way. Man, this right here, oh man. This movie don't get a lot of love when you talk about Angelina Jolie, Robert De Niro, or Matt Damon, 3 Hollywood powerhouses. And when you talk about them, this movie never come up. Why? I don't know. It's a banger of a movie. The Good Shepherd. This movie is about the birth of the CIA. Just like J. Edgar was about, with Leonardo DiCaprio, was about the birth of the FBI. The Good Shepherd is about the birth of the CIA. And what a banger of a movie this is. It's underrated. It's under the radar. Man, this movie is crazy right here. Hide and Seek. Mean Streets, banger. This is an early De Niro movie, very early. Yeah, you can't really see how young he is on the back. But a very early De Niro flick, fantastic. Meet the Fockers. Yo, I'm trying to tell you. Men of Honor, a fantastic movie with him and Cuba Gooding in there. Wonderful movie. In my opinion, this is one of the best De Niro flicks out there too. Even though, again, a star-studded cast, he wasn't the star of the movie. He was part of a big cast. Like a lot of the good movies that he's in, a lot of the movies he's part of a bigger cast. But man, he played his part in this. Once Upon a Time in America. I'm trying to tell you, this is a long movie. You got to dedicate some time to watching this one, but it's a fantastic movie. I'm trying to tell you. All-star cast in this one. I mean, I'm just looking at the back cover. I don't see the names here, but we got De Niro, Pesci, James Wood. Just a solid cast in that movie. A lot of talent. Another banging De Niro flick, Ronin. This is available at higher resolutions. I'm going to get around to upgrading this one because this is a fantastic movie and one of the best car chase scenes in Hollywood history. I think there is a 4K for this one via Kino Lorber, so I may be jumping on that sooner than later. Especially if they have a good Black Friday sale over there at the Kino Lorber place. Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy in Showtime. I wasn't a fan of this movie. It was just okay in my opinion. Here's a legendary De Niro movie. And again, this is one that I need to upgrade the resolution, but I'll get around to it. Taxi Driver. I had this DVD for a nice little bit, so there you go. Taxi Driver. That's one. Now that's another role that is deemed one of his better roles. It's a very iconic role. Wonderful. And here's another one. Untouchables. Fantastic movie. I loved it. It was great. Did a great job in this one. So let's go ahead and do what we always do. We'll recap it and we'll see where this filmography sit versus the last 4. So we got The Untouchables, Ronin, Once Upon a Time in America, Men of Honor, Meet the Fockers, Mean Streets, City by the Sea, A Bronx Tale. Trying to get a hold of this movie nowadays. At least last time I checked was about a year ago. It was pricey. The Blu-ray was outrageous, and especially on eBay. And the DVD was kind of high too. I paid $15 for this one. I'm trying to tell you. But I wanted the movie, and at the time the Blu-ray was pushing into like the $30 mark. I'm like, nah. Taxi Driver. Prices might be down on it now. Let me know what you think about that one too. Showtime, Hide and Seek, Analyze That, Analyze This. I'm trying to tell you those 2 movies right there. 15 Minutes, Savage Salvation, The Score, Righteous Kill, Red Lights. I wanted more from that movie. I really did. Raging Bull. Sleepers. Killer Elite. This was alright. Jackie Brown. Joker. Heist. Heat. Goodfellas. The Godfather, Copland, Cape Fear, Being Flynn, Casino, and The Good Shepherd. So now, right now we got 5 filmographies down and a lot more to go. This is a series that I'm going to run through. I'm going to try to get at least 1 to 2 to even maybe 3 of these done a day. I want to get through all the key actors in my collection and move on to something else. But I want to get these done so I can rank who got the best filmography in my collection with your guys' help. So, and right now we got sitting at number 1, we got Sam Jackson. Number 2, we got Bruce Willis. Number 3, we got Lawrence. This is the ranking. We got Lawrence Fishburne at number 3, Morgan Freeman at number 4, and we got De Niro. Where are we going to put De Niro? Now, before we place De Niro in this ranking, let's look at the standout performances. Again, this is my opinion. Your opinion is different. And if yours is different, that's cool. Just let me know in the comment what your best performance is. But Sam Jackson, in my opinion, his most iconic role, the one that jumps out the most, is Steven from Django. That's not his best. In my opinion, Sam Jackson's best performance is, he got a lot. He's got a lot. But his best one, it's hard for me to say. Because Sam Jackson got a lot of movies. I mean, he's got a lot of movies. But me personally, I liked him in The Hateful Eight. That's my favorite Sam Jackson performance. I loved his performance in The Hateful Eight. But I know Django is the one that really pops out at a lot of people, especially people who's not really in the movies like we are in our community. So Bruce Willis, of course, is the Die Hard franchise. That's it. Like it or not, that's the standout for Bruce Willis. Morgan Freeman. Now, his standout performance, in my opinion, is Joe Clark in the movie Lean on Me. That's the one. That's the role that stamped him. And for Robert De Niro, I know it's crazy, it's so many, but for me, his performance as, Katie in Cape Fear, Max Cady, I mean, I can't think of a performance that he got, in my opinion, where he was just more entertaining than the character Max Cady in Cape Fear. And I'm not saying that's better than the rest, but to me, that was his most entertaining role. I was very entertained watching him play Max Cady. What say you? So for me, in the filmographies, I am moving, and again, I am moving Robert De Niro from 5 to 1. He has the best filmography out of the last 4 people, in my opinion. Again, it's not the biggest, but for me, it's the best so far. So I'm going to move Robert De Niro to number 1. Robert De Niro goes to 1. Sam Jackson goes to 2. Bruce Willis goes to 3. Morgan Freeman is still at 4. Okay, I'll clean this list up and keep it going. So that's everything from Robert De Niro. And again, Robert De Niro so far, he sits at number 1 on the filmographies that I looked at, in my opinion. I gave you my reasons why. Tell me what you think. I mean, Robert De Niro versus Sam Jackson versus Bruce Willis versus Lawrence Fishburne versus Morgan Freeman so far. But I got a feeling he's not going to be there for long, because guess who's next? Denzel Washington. He's next. So I got a funny feeling De Niro isn't going to be number 1 for long. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next.